We are living in an age of, well, digital magic, right? You've got AI tools like Google's NotebookLM that can take a 200-page document and just summarize it for you in 30 seconds. It can create quizzes, podcasts, mind maps, pretty much anything you can dream up. The potential for learning seems absolutely infinite. But what if I told you there's a catch? A really, really big one.
Because despite all this incredible power, there's a shocking statistic that's emerged. Get this, 90% of people using these advanced tools are learning absolutely nothing. Zero. How is that even possible? Well, it's because of this very subtle, almost invisible trap that nearly everyone is falling into.
It's a phenomenon called phantom learning, and it's tricky because you feel like you're learning. You're consuming content, you're asking the AI questions, and you're collecting these perfectly organized summaries. But inside your brain, nothing's actually sticking. The source material uses this brilliant analogy. It's like eating a huge meal but never actually digesting it. You get that feeling of being full, but you're getting none of the nutrients.
So how do these AI tools pull this off? How do they trick us into thinking we're learning? It's because they're basically perfectly designed to create this illusion. They do all the heavy lifting for us, right? They digest these huge amounts of information and then feed it back to us in these beautiful, pristine formats. And we just sit there, passively taking it all in, while our brain isn't doing any of the actual work.
Let me give you a real-world example of how this plays out. So there's this story of a student who was getting ready for his science exams. He uploaded all his course materials into an AI tool. And on the surface, he was doing everything right. He had AI-generated quizzes, flashcards, super detailed mind maps. I mean, it looked like the absolute perfect setup for success.
But then, his tutor started to probe a little deeper. He asked him to explain a pretty fundamental concept from the course, something like the Krebs cycle. So, what do you think happened? The student had all the notes, all the summaries right there in front of him. The answer should have been a piece of cake.
Just total silence. He kind of stumbled, trying to piece together a coherent thought, but he just couldn't. And here's the thing, it wasn't because he was lazy. It was because he had never actually studied the material himself. The AI had done it for him. The AI identified the key information, it came up with the questions, and it organized all the knowledge. He had delegated the very heart of learning, the struggle, the reformulation, the connection-making, all of it, to the machine.
And that feeling of making progress so quickly, that's the most deceptive part of phantom learning. You feel super productive because you're gathering all these notes and summaries, but you're not actually building any real knowledge. Here's an analogy that makes it crystal clear.
Think about the difference between watching somebody do push-ups versus actually doing them yourself. Watching is easy. It's passive. It takes zero effort. But does it build any muscle on your body? Of course not. To build strength, you have to get down on the floor and do the work. You have to feel the strain.
So, here's the crucial takeaway. Learning is a cognitive workout. You cannot outsource the effort and expect to get the results. That very act of wrestling with ideas, reorganizing them, restructuring them, connecting them in your own mind, that's what builds the neural muscle of knowledge.
And this isn't just a clever analogy. The science completely backs this up. A big 2018 meta-analysis looked at a bunch of different study methods, and the results were just jaw-dropping. Students who practiced self-explanation, that is, actively explaining the concepts to themselves in their own words, they dramatically outperformed everyone else. We're talking about a performance jump that's like going from a C to an A. It's huge. Okay, so it's pretty clear there's a problem here. But this does not mean we should just ditch these incredible AI tools. Not at all. The issue isn't the tool itself, it's how we're using it. And that brings us to the one single rule you absolutely have to follow to avoid the phantom learning trap.
Let's call it the cardinal rule. Human first, AI second. You can never, ever let the AI steal the cognitive effort that is absolutely essential for deep, lasting learning. You have to do the mental push-ups yourself before you ask the AI to come and spot you.
So how do we actually put this into practice? How do we turn our AI from a crutch that makes us weaker into a powerful learning partner that makes us stronger? Well, I'm going to walk you through a simple 3-step method that will completely change the way you learn with these tools.
The method itself is pretty straightforward, but it does require a big shift in your mindset. Instead of jumping to the AI first, you start with yourself. You do the hard work of learning first, and then, and only then, do you bring in the AI to push your understanding to a whole new level. Let's break it down.
All right, step 1 is all about you doing that initial cognitive work. You've got to read the material actively. That means hunting for the main ideas, looking for key examples, and importantly, marking down anything that confuses you. Then, and this is the most critical part, you close the book and you try to summarize the key points in your own words. That simple act of reformulation, that's where real learning sparks to life.
Okay, once you got that basic understanding, it's time to anchor it. You do that by asking yourself 3 really powerful questions. First, can I summarize this whole thing in just a few lines? This forces you to get to the absolute core message. Second, what are the key concepts here? And can I come up with an analogy for each one? This builds a much deeper, more intuitive understanding. And third, my personal favorite, how does this connect to stuff I already know? Remember, our brains learn by linking new ideas to old ones.
And now we get to the fun part. You've done the hard work, you've built a solid foundation of knowledge on your own. Now it's finally time to bring in your AI partner. But we're not going to use it like a teacher. Oh no, we're going to use it as something much, much more powerful.
So you don't want an AI that's just a teacher, one that spoon-feeds you the answers. That just leads right back to passive learning. Instead, you want it to be a sparring partner, a partner that challenges your answers, that questions your assumptions, and that forces you to actually defend your ideas. This is where the real magic happens.
So, what does that look like in practice? Well, instead of asking, hey AI, what's the answer, you feed it the answers you came up with in step 2, and you give it a prompt that goes something like this. Okay, here's my understanding. Now I want you to argue with me. Poke holes in my logic. Point out any flaws or weak spots. Challenge me. Force me to really refine my comprehension. You see? You're not asking it to do the thinking for you. You're asking it to make your thinking stronger.
And when you make this one little shift in your mindset, it changes everything. You realize that AI isn't a shortcut for learning. It can't be. But it is an unbelievable shortcut to a deeper level of learning. It accelerates what you know, but you have to do the knowing part first. You bring the cognitive effort, and the AI helps you test and refine that effort at a speed we've just never seen before.
So, I'll leave you with this one crucial question to ask yourself. The way you're using AI right now, is it a partner that's challenging you to think more deeply, or is it a crutch that's just letting you fall deeper into the trap of phantom learning? The choice and the effort is all yours.